Hi, this is Dr. Aimie, and in this week's blog video, we're going to talk about sleep. This is actually part one of two parts on sleep, and this is a really important topic. Many Americans at some point in their life will have problems with sleep. In fact, this is one of the main complaints that people go to their doctors to talk about. Certainly those of us with histories of trauma have more problems with sleep than others. We have more difficulty maybe falling asleep, or maybe we can fall asleep but just wake up more often, wake up early and can't fall back asleep. This is important though because there's so much repair that happens in our bodies and brains as we are sleeping. This is the time for the body to clean up, to make things more efficient for the next day. So that if we're not getting adequate and restful sleep, our bodies are going to have a lower threshold for stress. Smaller things are going to stress us out more, and we're going to more quickly reach that point of being overwhelmed with life and problems. So we can pull out some tricks, some tools in order to kind of change and hack our nervous system to be able to get better sleep until that happens more naturally. And certainly as we heal, our nervous systems will be more naturally able to go into that rest and digest parasympathetic state that we need to be in for sleep. But while it is still in the early phases of healing and it's still in that chronic stress and survival mode, then we're going to need to hack the system in order to trick it to get better sleep so that we can heal faster. This week we're going to talk about 4 different factors that go into sleeping, and the ones that we're going to look at today are light, temperature, sound, and touch. And the important thing to know as we go over these topics is that in order to hack the nervous system, we need to understand how it works. And the nervous system is all about sensory. It's all about taking in information from our environment to assess what it should be doing. And so sleep is really a sensory experience. And by changing the sensory information that the body is receiving, then we can kind of change the message that it gets and get it into a deeper and better place of sleep. Let's start. Factor number 1 is light. Light actually changes our hormones. The most important hormone that it changes is melatonin, and this is the sleep hormone. This is also called the darkness hormone because this is the hormone that makes us sleepy, helps us fall asleep, and the levels are increased in response to it getting dark. The blue light that especially will come from any type of screen, so TV, cell phones, iPads, but even from most of our lights, is going to be the most disruptive to this hormone. So that's why changing out the night lights to something that are red and having no screen time for at least 30-45 minutes before bedtime, and even wearing some kind of glasses like the true dark glasses that block out all of the blue light are going to be very helpful. Saying that, one of the most simple ways that you can hack this system is to get blackout curtains and make the room completely dark. This is going to, again, help those hormone levels be at their optimal level, and it will prevent your nervous system from getting the message that it does get through light that, hey, there's stuff going on. It looks like it's day. It looks like there's activity going on. We should be up. We should be figuring out, what's going on, if there's any danger, and just that will keep you awake and will wake you up. And so I encourage you to get some blackout curtains and start to optimize your melatonin levels through decreasing the amount of light in your room. Sensory factor number 2 is temperature. And our core body temperature drops in order to help us sleep better and again to raise that melatonin level. So there is actually an ideal temperature, room temperature, at which your body will sleep. And that temperature is probably colder than what you think. It's 65 degrees. There is a range, and the range is 60 to 67 degrees Fahrenheit. For babies and infants, it's a little higher, The ideal is around 70 degrees Fahrenheit. But your body will sleep better when the room temperature is lower. Saying that, you will fall asleep easier, and those racing thoughts will slow down if you warm your feet up. And this helps by bringing all the blood down to your feet, and again will help cool down your core body temperature faster, also helping you sleep. So putting some type of warm pack, warm water bottle at your feet, making sure you're wearing warm socks, even sticking them in the dryer before you go to bed. And then there's always this thing called magic socks that I've talked about before, that I've done with the kids that I've worked with, that has been really helpful to them to calm their nervous system down and help them fall asleep faster. Those are the ways in which you can adjust the temperature in order to hack your nervous system to sleep. Sensory factor number 3 is sound. And certainly sounds are a big sensory input into the nervous system. And high-pitched noises, low rumbles, all of those are naturally going to set our nervous system into a state of alarm. But dogs barking, sirens going off, car doors slamming, car alarms going off are all going to be very disruptive to a nervous system that is already sensitive to danger. So playing some type of music, if you're in an area where there is that type of noise, and blocking that sound is going to be very beneficial. And in order to maximize and optimize your sleep through sound, there's also something that if you choose which kind of sound, you can actually change your brain waves. So briefly, the brain has waves. I mean, it's an electrical field and it has waves. And when we are alert, awake, it's in the alpha waves. And then as it relaxes, it goes into theta, delta, and then after that, it drops even down into the REM sleep. And when we are sleeping, and as we fall asleep, there is a natural time progression that we should stay in REM sleep before we come back up, the amount of time that we are in that then delta wave phase. And we can actually play different music that will help our brains go through those different waves that it naturally should do on its own. And this music is something that's called binaural beats with isochronic tones. And it utilizes something similar to EMDR, where it's putting different sounds into each ear. So you will need to wear headphones so that the different pitches will go into each ear. But it does help your brain go into the deeper delta waves that it needs for restful sleep. If you find one that does have like a 60 or a 90-minute cycle, that would be the most simulation of the natural progression and time spent in each wave phase for your brain. The other music that will help your brain get into those deeper waves is going to be meditation music, especially some of the chants and some of the mantras. And this is something that is really helpful because you don't have to wear headphones for those. You can have it playing anywhere in the room, and it will not only block out all the other sounds that may be coming from outside, but then it will help your brain go into these deeper states of sleep by changing the brain waves. And then sensory factor number 4 is touch. So touch is, again, one of those things that is a very strong sensory input into our nervous system. When someone is touching us, we are very aware of it, and we're getting a message into our nervous system that tells us whether that is comforting, whether that feels safe, or whether that feels activating and makes us feel nervous. So since our nervous systems are going to be responding either way to touch, it's important for us to know that and to experiment with that to see how we can get the best sleep. Touch not only involves another human being, but also involves how our clothes feel on us, what type of material feels most relaxing to our nervous system. So we should play around with this, experiment with different types of clothes, and you will see that certain materials will feel better and more relaxing, and you will sleep better. Sometimes for people that's the flannels, the fleece, sometimes it's more the smoother, thinner silk. And whatever it is, that should be an investment that you make for your health and for better sleep. If you are sharing the bed with someone, it is important to know whether touch is calming to your nervous system or activating. If it is activating, you will have a very hard time sleeping if the other person unintentionally is causing your nervous system to be activated by touching you. Maybe their nervous system is calmed by touch, and so that's why they do that. And so, again, this is something that is good for communication and to experiment with. Most times, when the nervous system is dysregulated, touch can be very helpful. Oftentimes, just holding a hand can be very helpful, and sometimes deeper pressure, if they're holding your hand in one place rather than stroking your hand, that can all change the input into your nervous system and will either calm you or activate you. So it's not a bad thing, and this will definitely change over time as your nervous system heals. But if touch is activating to you, that's something that you need to communicate with your partner, because you will be a much better person if you are getting better sleep. So I hope that you have found these tips helpful. And next week we are going to go into part 2 and talk about some of the other sensory things that we can change to hack our nervous system for better sleep.